Sheldon's Picks. This collection of weapons brings a lot of fond memories of my time with Splatoon as a franchise. Whether it was playing Soda Slosher that came with Splat Bomb and Burst Bomb Rush, comboing against the enemy, using heavy remix with Point Sensor, and having an incredible fun special with Booyah Bomb, using Sploosh 7 with Splat Bomb and Hammer, being a nuisance and a rat. Sheldon's Picks is one of the most iconic collections of weapons in Splatoon, appearing in Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2. Which begs the question, will Sheldon's Picks return for Splatoon 3? This is a video where we talk about it. What's up everyone, my name is Gus and welcome to the channel. If you like this video, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing. We're so close to 5k subscribers, y'all. And with every subscribe button that is pressed, it'll increase the chances of Sheldon's Picks returning. Trust me, Nintendo obviously watches my channel and they'll be like, you know, we gotta make Gus's dreams come true. And just don't do it for me, do it for Soda Slosher. If you're new to the Splatoon franchise, starting off with Splatoon 3, you might be asking yourself, well, what are Sheldon's Picks? Traditionally, they are the third variation of their respective main weapon, and were all designed by this guy, Sheldon. Hence the name Sheldon's Picks. Whether that's a good or bad thing given the weapon he sells in the shop could be a discussion for another day, but overall, these sort of collections are iconic given its history in Splatoon. Splatoon 1 first introduced this collection on March 3rd, 2016, about 10 months after the initial release of Splatoon on the Wii U. It came with 2 volumes, basically 2 updates, where we got a total of 16 brand new kits. We got some very memorable weapons such as the Berry Splattershot Pro, the Wasabi Splattershot, Grim Range Blaster, my personal favorite, the Soda Slosher, and meta-defining weapons such as the Cherry H3 Nozzle Nose. Talking about Splatoon 1 already brings me a lot of nostalgia, but when I talk about Sheldon's Picks in Splatoon 1, it really takes me back. Sheldon's Picks were a fun way to introduce new variety in a brand new Nintendo franchise that was already establishing itself as a fun new approach to multiplayer shooter games. The cool thing is that Sheldon's Picks did not just stay in Splatoon 1, they made their return in Splatoon 2 as well. On January 27, 2019, about a year and a half later, Nintendo announced that Splatoon 2 will also be getting their own Sheldon's Picks in the game. Some very iconic weapons come from these set of picks. We saw returning Sheldon Picks with the Soda Slosher and Heavy Remix for example, but given that we got 2 new weapon classes in Splatoon 2 with the Dually Umbrella class, we saw weapons such as the Clear Dapple Dualies and the Tenta Camo Umbrella come into existence. While the number of kits for Sheldon's Picks decreased between the 2 games, there was another collection of weapons that gave third kits to some weapons that I'll talk a little bit later in the video that's important to unraveling the question of, will Sheldon's Picks return in Splatoon 3? But before getting into that, let me briefly explain why Sheldon's Picks are so important to Splatoon as a franchise. The biggest contribution of Sheldon's Picks is that it extends the longevity of the game. Just think about it, you have a favorite weapon, right? Isn't it exciting learning that your favorite weapon is getting a second kit? Not only do you get to play with your favorite main weapon, but you get access to a new playstyle with a different sub and special, which opens up possibilities of how you approach playing different rank modes on a casual level. Imagine getting a third kit now. Now you have more to play with and a new weapon to grind with. I will caution by saying, yeah, Splatoon 3's kit designs have been underwhelming to say the least. I mean, I made a whole video on how I felt about Explosher and Dreadringer's new kits as a bucket player. Even more so, not every weapon in the game gets a third kit. It's only a select few that get it in Sheldon's Picks, and if trends follow, it'll probably be the same weapons. But I think everyone has something to choose from. Out of 12 or something weapons from Sheldon's Pick, there's a good chance that you'll see one and you'll enjoy it, making it likelier for you to come back to Splatoon and play hours and hours with your new weapon. For me, this next point is probably the biggest reason why I think third kits, aka Sheldon's Picks, are really important to Splatoon, because it has the possibility of improving variety in competitive Splatoon gameplay. Now, I can definitely see that improved variety also helps out on a casual level, but this is just coming from a person who's a competitive player who plays in tournaments. I like the concept of theorizing how comps work together. For example, how can this new Sheldon's Pick weapon fit with the already existing weapons in Splatoon 3. There's just a lot of fascination with how our kit system works and how we as competitive players attempt to figure these things out. Now, even putting my competitive player hat aside, I'm no top level player whatsoever, but I enjoy watching variety as a viewer of competitive play. I love watching top level teams come up with ways on how to perfect their gameplay in the game. Now, I know some people may say that top level players play all the same weapons, but if you look closely, some of these players experiment a lot on what can work and what cannot work. When I had a conversation with Bran, a top level player from Starburst, on my podcast, we talked about how they came up with a comp using arrow spray to win a Splatoon 2 Major.
I thought it was Splat Zone, so they're gonna go down with Rainmaker.
Is that a silver arrow spray?
Oh my
Pika,
lord!
where are you at?
Silver arrow spray. The meta is completely thrown out right here.
And it was because of that thought process of experimenting that made the game really interesting, not just for him, but for me as a viewer as well. Now, S2 is long behind us, right? But even in Splatoon 3, we see this innovation and variety continue to happen. Not too long ago, Leafy from Jackpot used a Tentabrella on Crableg, and at the time, that was pretty unusual to see given Leafy would play Stamper and Nautilus at the time.
I mean, I can finally pick my jaw up off the floor because you talk about prep and changing things up here. Leafy on the Sorella Tentabrella?
For us viewers, we were just excited to see what top level players were using. The examples I provided aren't necessarily Sheldon's picks or third kits, so let me reel it back in to highlight on the point I'm trying to make here. Basically, the more kits we get, the better. You can argue with me about the quality of the kits, but I think that prompts a separate video. But living within the realm of how Nintendo designs kits, I'd argue that with more kits, it at least increases the tools in our toolkit, and having third kits could shake up the meta and incentivize competitive players to innovate once again. Think of it like this: would you rather have 2 or 3 kits of your main weapon to design your team comp around? Options are always better in the same way where would you rather have 2 tries to win $100 or would you rather have 3 tries is the point I'm trying to make. Even with something as simple as changing the design of the weapon is something very cool to me. Aesthetically, I really like how Sheldon's picks look as a collection of weapons. So that's why I think they're important. It extends longevity, it can improve variety, and it's pretty nostalgic and they have cool designs. So, are they coming back? Well, to make things easier to explain in this video, we need to talk about what has been said by Nintendo and trends of Splatoon in prior games. First, let's talk about the facts and the rumors that Sheldon's picks will not return. Nintendo has already stated on their Splatoon website that the game is only receiving 2 years of continuous updates. We are closing in on the 2-year mark of Splatoon 3. As crazy as that sounds, time has flown by. Using this statement, we can conclude that we only have one more season to wait on, Sizzle Season 2024. And if you've been paying attention to how kits have been released since the launch of the game, there are some weapons like the Range Blaster and the Bamboozler who have yet to get a second kit. We only have one more season, y'all. Is it enough to get third kits in? One thing about Nintendo though, is that they love nostalgia. I mean, look at some of the kits we've gotten in Splatoon 3. Some of them are basically identical to what we got in Splatoon 1. With the expansion pass, we got the Plaza from Splatoon 1 and the Square from Splatoon 2. And nostalgia isn't just a Splatoon thing. If you've been playing other Nintendo games for years, you know that nostalgia is their thing. But even with this factor of nostalgia, it's hard to say given that Sheldon's picks were released about 9 months or 1.5 years after the launch of Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 respectively. We're already at the 1.5 year mark for Splatoon 3. Splatoon 1 was its own unique game, to be honest with you. So Splatoon 2 is pretty much the game we need to look at to identify trends. Not only is it the most recent game, but it's also on the same console. By a little over the year mark, Splatoon 2 had 3 kits, not with Sheldon's picks, but with something called the Kensa Collection. So to put this in perspective, yes, Splatoon 2 had weapons with 3 kits with the Kensa Collection about 14 months after launch, whereas in Splatoon 3, 14 months after launch, there are still some weapons getting their second kits. Given the new system in Splatoon 3, kit rollouts have just been incredibly slower than before, and with us reaching the 2-year mark, it's honestly not looking very good. There's also a rumor of a new Nintendo console bringing an end to what we know as the Nintendo Switch. I'll be real with you, I'm not a big fan of these rumors because for years, random YouTubers would use this type of material to clickbait, get views, and then behold, there is no new Nintendo console. I only bring this up because I know someone in the comments will say, Splatoon 3's lifespan is being cut short because of a new console that's gonna launch in 2025. So this could potentially support the theory that third kits, aka Sheldon's picks, will not happen. But with all glimmers of hope and a massive tank of copium, surely we get Sheldon's picks in Splatoon 3, right? There was a tweet that sparked my hope that Sheldon's picks will return. Ash Binary, a reputable data miner, posted this. Basically, Ash found data files in the most recent update of 7.1 that includes 2 new weapons different from the Splatana and Stringer class weapons. Some people started commenting that those file names could indicate a Final Fest related weapon, or a second kit related weapon, or even a Grisco related weapon. But Ash followed up with this image to clarify their initial tweet. They added that these new files are 2 new main weapons for the versus modes. The new splash tags are all we know about them currently. Nintendo would likely not add splash tag data to a placeholder weapon that has no chance of appearing in the final game. If you've seen these tweets, please be respectful to Ash and do not message them directly. They've given us all the information that they know. So under this assumption that we get 2 new weapon types, right? In the same way that we got bow and sword, wouldn't this mean we would require more updates for those particular weapons? Because let's just hypothetically say, we get these 2 new weapon types alongside all the other weapons needing a second kit in Sizzle Season 2024. Traditionally, Nintendo only releases 1 kit at a time. If we get new weapon types, wouldn't it be weird if they only gave us 1 kit for each of those 2 new weapon types? Wouldn't that prompt Nintendo to need to do another season to give us these new weapons a second kit as well? If this data mine is true, we have some kits that still need to be added post Sizzle Season 2024. Wouldn't it be cool if we could just get 1 year of an additional update, where 1 update could be exclusively Sheldon's picks? You can argue that Nintendo will likely just dump all their new content in Sizzle Season 2024 and call it quits. But be honest with me, when has Nintendo ever done that to any of their franchises? God f***ing damn it.